Hey there, Cat fans. Welcome to this week's Cat Chat, brought to you by the Topeka Capital-Journal here on CatZone. I'm Andy Burns. Joining me, as always, our lead K-State beat writer here at the Capital-Journal, Ken Corbitt. It's almost time for the crossover season, Kenny. How you feeling?
Pretty good so far. Basketball hasn't hit real hard yet. They had Big 12 Media Day for basketball yesterday, and fortunately it was the same day as the football press conference, so I missed that. Kevin Haskin took over for me, as he will be doing for basketball game Friday, but it's getting the busy time of year, but it's a fun time of the year.
Fun time of the year, and especially when K-State wins a football game, as they did last Saturday against Texas. They hold on. They move to 4-3 overall, 2-2 in the Big 12 with a 24-21 victory over the Longhorns. Charlie Strong's hot seat, it's kind of at its boiling point down there in Austin. But K-State gets the win, 24-21. The offense looks good in the first half, 21 points. Jesse Ertz runs for 2 touchdowns, throws for another one to Byron Pringle. Second half, not so much. They get 1 field goal. That's it in the second half as far as scoring goes for K-State's offense. What changed at halftime, do you think, for K-State's offense?
I really don't know what changed. They just, they had a couple turnovers, but I don't know if they got a little more conservative trying to protect the lead or not. But, it's hard to explain what happened. I really don't know. Charles Jones didn't play after he had a little issue with the fumble, so maybe Texas made some adjustments. But before they were fortunate enough to play so well early and build a lead and be able to hold on.
The receivers, though, for K-State's offense, they didn't maybe put up a lot of great stats this week, but I think they're really starting to show their talent for this K-State team. Byron Pringle had the touchdown. He made an awesome play during the game. The ball was thrown maybe 3 or 4 feet over his head. He jumps up and makes the catch for a big first down for K-State. Dominique Heath also really starting to kind of come along. Maybe he didn't have the best day statistically for Kansas State, but he's really kind of starting to come along for this K-State receiving corps. You're writing in advance about him this week. What can you kind of tell us about Dominique Heath and how he's coming along?
Well, what impresses me about him, he's a little guy. They list him 5'9". I'm not even sure if he's quite that tall, but just very good on the slant patterns over the middle. I mean, he's shown his ability to go deep on the patterns, the deep ball, the 54-yard touchdown against Oklahoma. But I just like the crossing patterns he does over the middle. So, you'd think someone like Deontay Burton would be more effective there with his size, but Dominique's just kind of fearless and likes those plays over there. So I think he's just kind of a do-it-all receiver. You
can read Kenny's feature at CJ Online and also in Friday's Topeka Capital-Journal. Kenny, the defense, though, they kind of flipped the script. We've been talking all season about how they've been strong in the second half, kind of struggled in the first half. It seemed like it was the opposite on Saturday. They came out, looked really strong, got the fumble early, looked like they really had things going in the first half. And then in the second half, not that they were bad in the second half, but Texas kind of was able to kind of maybe get some things going and really start to kind of put some points on the board. Deontay Foreman for Texas runs for 124 yards on 24 carries. For the K-State run defense, is there any reason to maybe be concerned about that, or is that just Foreman being one of the best backs in the Big 12?
Yeah, I think Deontay Foreman is very good. So he had some big holes early. Talked to Jordan Willis. He said they had some communication problems between the linebackers and the line early. They got those corrected and kind of plugged up those holes a little bit. But you always think the run defense is going to be a strength for them with Will Geary and Trey Deshawn in the middle, 2 big tackles there. But they got things corrected. Yeah, it's still waiting for this team to play a whole game, a complete game. I mean, both sides of the ball kind of has one good half and one bad half. So I keep waiting for that, K-State to put one really good, complete game all together.
And at least I feel like watching this team, if they were able to do that, they can be an excellent team. And this is a team that really, it's kind of been plodding along. They're sitting there at 4-3 overall, which isn't a bad record, but it makes you think if they had done that, played 60 good minutes on both sides of the ball against Stanford, against West Virginia, against Oklahoma, are those outcomes maybe different than the way that they turned out? But speaking of that defensive line for K-State, you mentioned Trey Deshawn, you mentioned Will Geary, that pass rush coming from the outside. It's not just Jordan Willis anymore, though, and that pass rush really starting to kind of take shape for K-State.
Right. Well, Jordan Willis is a beast. I mean, I think right now he's the defensive player of the year in the conference. The other end spot is kind of a combination of Reggie Walker and Tanner Wood. And then we got a surprise with Kyle Ball coming in, pulling the red shirt off him and makes a big play. The first time he steps foot on the field, he comes in Texas' first series and gets a 9-yard sack. So a great story with him. So, yeah, they're showing some depth. I mean, Kyle Ball was a kid that was, under-recruited out of Shawnee Mission East High School. So, I mean, he's the kind of guy that K-State has built his program on.
You can read more about Kyle Ball in Thursday's Capital-Journal. That story by our K-State correspondent, Riley Gates. But let's move on to this week, Kenny. K-State, they're going to look for their first road win of 2016 this Saturday in Ames. Iowa State comes in 1-6 overall, 0-4 in the Big 12. But although K-State's won the last 8 against Iowa State, it hasn't always been easy. They've had games like last year. K-State was down big at home. They ended up winning by 3 on that to start that 3-game winning streak. 2014 in Ames, K-State has a 4-point win despite having Jake Waters, Tyler Lockett, and a host of other really good players in that 2014 team. And then in 2012, that team that ended up being number 1 in the country, K-State goes into Ames and escapes with a 27-21 win against an Iowa State team that was not that good. Is there something about this Iowa State K-State like rivalry, or what is it about this rivalry, I guess I'll call it that K-State can't seem to just take care of business against Iowa State?
I think it's because they're pretty kind of similar type teams. I mean, they're kind of same basis. I mean, it's a new coaching staff this year, but under Paul Rhodes for years, I mean, it's a team they like to control the ball, good defense, kind of conservative offense, a little bit of balance. But I think it's just teams that play kind of a similar style, and you kind of know what to expect from each other, and neither team's going to blow another out with their style of offense, so that keeps the games close. You mentioned K-State has won 8 in a row. 7 of those have been by 8 points or less, so it always seems to come down right to the end, and you know, really wouldn't expect anything much different this week. And
it's one of those things, to steal a baseball term, it's almost like they're due. It's like Iowa State is due for a win against K-State. And Iowa State, you mentioned the new coach. They do have the new coach, formerly of Toledo, Matt Campbell. It's not really showing in the win-loss column, but I think he's got Iowa State playing a lot better this year.
He does. I mean, they had a lead on Baylor. They had a lead on Oklahoma State. So they've been right there. They haven't been able to finish, you know, which is part of being a young team. But, you know, traditionally, again, you know, this is past different staff, but you look back, Iowa State pulls off kind of one big upset a year, it seems like. They're one of those teams that does that. A few years ago, they beat Oklahoma State up there at the end of the year, cost them a Big 12 title. Yep. So, I mean, they're a dangerous team. You know, if you get, you know, they have an experienced quarterback with Joel Lanning. They got some receivers, very good running back in Mike Warren. So, you know, they have some weapons on offense with the potential to do some things.
You mentioned Iowa State being a young team. Matt Campbell, also a young coach, 36 years old. He's the youngest coach in the Big 12, one of the youngest in the country. Iowa State, though, they're coming off a bye. I know, again, we've talked about they're 1-6. They're 0-4 in the Big 12. K-State's won 8 straight, but they are coming off a bye, and they are playing at home. Is that a big advantage for Iowa State?
Well, I think the bye probably came at a good time for them, kind of mid-season. It kind of gave them a chance to step back and evaluate things. Where are we? Where do we want to go? You know, you mentioned Matt Campbell being young. Yeah, he'll turn 37 next month. He's 3 months older than Cliff Kingsbury, is the youngest coaches at Power 5 conferences. Okay. But yeah, Iowa State is a tough place to play. You know, they've done some expansions at Jack Trice Stadium. It is the 3rd largest stadium in the Big 12. I mean, a lot of people would really be shocked at that, you know, behind Texas and Oklahoma. But, you know, the people up in Iowa get behind that program. Everyone talks about how loud it is, and it's even louder now with the renovations, and the fans support that program. So, you know, a program, you know, a team that's coming off a bye, they're going to be rested, hungry for a win. So it's going to be a tough test for K-State.
Can we get a prediction out of you, Kenny, for this week?
I think K-State may be due to put together that whole game. You know, they've been showing some progress and everything. And, you know, I don't know if it'll be closer than the past. I think it's going to be close a long way, but K-State pulls away, and I'll probably go something like K-State 34-17.
And one thing that we didn't get to last week, it was announced, I think, right about the time that we recorded this show, K-State announcing that they're going to put a limestone wall around the football field. Can you give us more information about that project?
Well, it's kind of decorative. I mean, it just fits in with the architecture of the campus with the limestone. But it's another way, you know, for fans to connect. You know, they can buy a limestone cap for, you know, quite a bit of money. I mean, it's another fundraising project for K-State, basically what it is. But, I mean, it's another nice addition to the stadium, which every year they're doing something, you know, another sprucing it up. So I think it'll be a neat addition just to give it a little more character and something different for the stadium.
You mentioned the size of Jack Trice Stadium in Ames. K-State maybe doesn't have that same size, but really working on getting those amenities and getting those bells and whistles really up to the point that it's one of the better stadiums, I think, in the Big 12, especially when this all gets said and done. But moving on to basketball, they tip off Friday in Bramlage against Pittsburg State at 7 p.m. And Kenny, it's an exhibition game, but it's basketball. It's here. It's finally here. Basketball season finally here for K-State. They play Washburn in Bramlage next Friday on November the 4th. Then the games finally count the week after that on November 11th. K-State plays Western Illinois. 11 underclassmen on this team. A lot of youth, but it's also, I think we kind of mentioned this before in previous episodes of the show, a make-or-break year for Bruce Weber. What are we expecting kind of in this first couple of exhibition games from K-State?
Yeah, I think it's a good chance to look at the young guys. I mean, you have known commodities like Wesley Wundu and DJ Johnson. You know, the sophomores, Dean Wade, Barry Brown, Kamau Stokes are going to take a step forward. But, you know, I'm interested to see Kamau Stokes, how he reacts coming off the knee injury, if he really trusts that knee, he can go all out. But, you know, it's a good chance to look at, you know, the redshirt freshmen, Isaiah Maurice, who's looked promising in scrimmages, Dante Williams, Xavier Sneed, how big of an impact is he going to make? So exhibition games, I mean, you know what you have with the veterans. It's a chance for these young guys to get out under the lights, you know, get used to playing in front of people and under the lights and show what they can do.
I guess, what should we expect from this team? There's a lot of youth. But again, Bruce Weber's been here long enough that I think this is a big year for him in terms of his future at K-State. And I guess what should we just in general expect for this team, do you think?
It's hard to say. I mean, that's kind of the conundrum of this program that's picked 9th in the Big 12 but also received votes in the top 25 coaches poll. So, right. You know, you have a go-to player like Wesley Wundu, who should be one of the best players in the Big 12. I mean, he can score, he can handle the ball, he can defend, he can do a little bit of everything. But I think this is going to be a very balanced team. You know, I don't think you're going to have you're not going to have one player score 18 points a game, but you're going to have 5 or 6 guys who average between 10 and 14 points a game. So, you know, they need to rebound, play defense, kind of ugly some games up. But in the past, it's the team that looks its best offensively in transition. So their defense is going to be key. Defense, rebound, and get the running game going.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Bookmark cjonline.com and pick up the Topeka Capital-Journal for all your K-State coverage. We'll see you next week.